Hey folks, and welcome to the Truck King YouTube channel. Today we're taking a closer look at this, the Chevrolet Silverado EV work truck. Yes, Chevy decided to launch its base work truck along with that high-end RST at the same time, and this should presumably be the better one for doing hard work, and we're going to put that to the test. So in this video, we're going to tow 7,000 pounds, do 0 to 60 with the trailer, and then we have some side-by-sides and ATVs we got to move around, so we're going to go do a long drive with those. We'll tell you about the range and how it all works. Make sure you stay tuned. Let's start with the walk around, folks. But first, I got to talk to you about power. So here in the work truck, you do get less power than that high-end RST. This thing is making 510 horsepower and 615 pound-feet of torque, and that is sent through 2 electric motors, one in the front, one in the rear. So yes, this is full-time 4-wheel drive. Now up front here, like most EV trucks, we don't have an engine, but we do have a front trunk. So we can take a closer look at that now. It's not powered here on the work truck, but it is quite a bit of space. This is the bag for the charger that's living in here. You are getting D-rings in the corners to tie stuff down, interior lighting, some cup holders, and then maybe most importantly, you also get power, which is nice. And that is 2.4 kilowatts, so really a legitimate amount of power that you can get out of your front trunk up here. This is just an obvious way for these EVs to make themselves more desirable by using that space that would have been used to house an engine. So now we'll roll back. You'll see down here we get a set of 18-inch wheels, very different from the massive 24-inch wheels you get on the RST. Our truck today is sort of the black-white, the Stormtrooper combo. I do think it looks pretty good, and this has been a point of contention since Silverado EV launched, sort of just the overall styling. So why don't you just drop in the comments right now and let me know what you think of the looks on this truck. All right, folks, we're taking a look underneath this Silverado EV first. So I like to start with tow hooks, and you can see up here, there are none. So yes, sadly, there's no front hooks on this truck whatsoever. And I know I even usually come at this from an off-road perspective, like if I want to pull the truck out of the mud. But even more so than that, with the work truck, a lot of the times you need to pull other things and not just other vehicles. You need to pull, a log off the trail or something. So it is annoying to see no front tow hooks on this truck whatsoever. Now, what I do like to see, and this is pretty common for EVs, this thing is sealed up, man. You go from front bumper to front skid plate, right into your massive battery skid plate. This is my magnet, so I can tell you all up front here, this is all plastic, right up into the bumper. But then when we get back to where the battery pack is, that is steel. And it is steel all the way along, straight to the back of the truck. And then there's one plastic skid plate right there, assumably right around where that rear motor is. But yes, where the battery protection is concerned, this thing is pure steel because they need to protect this battery. Plus, you get good aerodynamics with it this way as well. So not a lot to see under this truck because of just how sealed up it is. Now, the other thing I want to mention, which you might have already seen, you have independent suspension all the way around, no solid axles here. So yeah, I'm curious to see, what the efficiency is, considering the aerodynamics have got to be pretty good with this thing being sealed shut underneath. I mentioned up on the rack there are no tow hooks, but once we got the truck off, I noticed this little cutout in the bumper. So you pop off this plastic cover, and the truck comes with this guy up in the glove box. You can see the threads on the end there, so that tucks right in there. And then it's threaded. Oddly enough, it is reverse threaded. You can see I'm going counterclockwise, but then boom, that thread's in there, and it does offer you at least one place that you can pull stuff from your front end. Still kind of annoying that there's no readily available tow hooks on the Silverado EV. Let's look at the business end now. So I have to point out the charge port on this is at the rear end of the truck, and even this kind of changes vehicle to vehicle. A lot of EVs have put the charge port up front, but the fact that it's back here, that means you're going to be backing into most chargers, so it's just something to note. Now we can look at the features of the bed. First of all, we are getting GM's corner bumper steps. So I'll drop the damped tailgate and you can see me climb up here. It's a nice big long step, not too deep, but plenty long. So if you kind of turn your foot that way, it fits in. And it really does help you climb up into the bed, makes it really easy. In terms of bed features, this is a 5'11" 11-inch bed, so it's pretty decent length, and this is the only option you can get. There are no different bed lengths or cab sizes. And then for features, you're getting 2 tie downs in each corner, not bad, not quite as good as the half tons or the gas half tons 3 tie downs, still not bad. We're also getting power here, so you're getting 2 outlets, which can put out 2.4 kilowatts, and 1 240 volt outlet that can put out 7.2 kilowatts, which is quite a bit of power, and you have LED lighting in here as well. Now finally, we got to talk about towing and payload. So towing off the hitch back here, 10,000 pounds, while payload on this unit comes in at 1,425 pounds. And let's go put those numbers to the test right now. Time to tow now, folks. So let's throw our truck in reverse and you can see the camera system. So we do have full 360 degrees of camera views. There's your main view, the top down, and your rear. You can then change. There's your front view. Looking down at your front, looking down at your rear. There's down the sides of the truck. Those are your front tires. And there's your rear tires. There you can eliminate that top down view if you want. And then this is for your guidelines behind the truck. We also do have a hitching view, which is going to come in handy. But for now, let's go back to here and back in. And I will say the cameras look pretty nice. And don't forget, this is the work truck. So even in the more base model, we are getting the full 360 degree cameras. Now this is the 4 WT, so it's the most contented version of the work truck. But still, these are the kind of features where, yeah, you want a really good camera system if you're constantly working with this thing. So nice to see that it's all here. And boom, we're home. Alrighty folks, now here we are towing in this Silverado EV. So we've got 7,000 pounds on the back, 7,000 pounds worth of concrete. So right off the top, that I have towed with this truck. I know you have not. So give me your impressions. How does it feel with the weight? How's it handling it? How's the power? What do you feel?
One thing I can say is that at my age, not a lot of things surprise me unless it's something my wife says. So to get in this thing, and then of course I know on paper an electric motor will give me 100% torque the second I engage it. But that's what you feel with this. There is no strain off the line. 50 years of driving gasoline and diesel powered vehicles, I'm used to what that torque curve is going to do when it comes to towing, and throw it all out the window. Anything you ever thought knew, it's gone, man. You get in here and you step on this accelerator and it'll fly, even with the 7,000 pounds on there. So to say that I'm a little excited today, which doesn't happen often, is true. It is. It's really a new age and a new world. I'm not saying I necessarily subscribe to it. However, it's really quite something. And it's something that a whole new generation of truck buyers is going to have to sort of absorb and learn and just, and get it, right? Because if you're going to move from gas to this, you'll be blown away.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the power. And again, you kind of said it, but I'll reinforce that point. It's just drama-free. Like, there's no reason why going as quickly as this thing should, you should be feeling some kind of strange stress. None of that. It's just totally drama-free. And then same thing suspension-wise. I don't know, when we dropped the weight onto the trailer, I didn't see this thing squat at all. It doesn't feel like, you know, the nose is too tall. So that's the other part of it, is I feel like the suspension, which is independent all the way around, I feel like it's also handling it beautifully. And the other part of that equation, Dad, is how heavy the truck is. This truck we're sitting in is around 8,500 pounds.
Right.
So it's a heavy beast.
Right.
It feels super planted, and the weight behind you, it's not pushing around the truck at all.
And there's the other thing. The architecture here is completely different. Once again, you know, we're used to pickups my whole life. The back end is light, so you learn to drive it, you know, in snow and slush, whatever. I mean, you were always chirping the tires when you didn't want to because there was no weight in the back. But this thing is literally a 50-50 split between front and rear when it comes to the actual vehicle weight. So it's a whole different feeling, and that's obviously why it's sprung the way it is.
Right. And so this is, you know what, it's the same story we've already told with other electric trucks, you know, the Lightning being the one we've tested the most. I kind of separate these trucks into two different baskets, and what I mean by that is the actual towing experience in terms of the power, the dynamics, what you feel from behind the wheel. It's amazing. Like, honestly, absolutely amazing. I'm not scared to say that. This has got to be one of the best towing trucks I've felt this year, period. But then the other basket is the range, the charge times. It's living with an EV. And in that way, these things can still be kind of frustrating. In fact, Dad, when we drop the trailer on, the truck senses the trailer, and right away the range dropped from about 550 kilometers down to about 350. The truck right off the bat just lopped 200 kilometers off without even knowing what the trailer was, because it just knows, I know I'm towing, I'm gonna make sure I temper expectations and drop that range. So those are the frustrating parts. And right now I will say we're doing this towing right now, and then we're gonna go return a Can-Am side-by-side, and we're gonna pull an ATV on the trailer as well back to my place. So at the end of this video, we're gonna talk all about efficiency and charge times and all of those sort of more pain point numbers. For now, we're just focused on how it feels with the weight, and suffice it to say, it feels good. And then the other thing we gotta do, of course, is 0 to 60. So let's go line up, and you know what, Dad? The TRX still sits on top of the leaderboard. Number 2 is the F-150 Lightning. So I'm very curious to see if this Silverado can topple the TRX or even beat the Lightning. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, folks, now the time has come. We're gonna do 0 to 100 kilometers an hour. That's 62 miles. We're in tow haul.
Yeehaw.
On go. 3. No, I wasn't ready. On go. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. 100! Whew! That was 11.19.
Holy crap.
0 to 100, which pretty much blows all the other gas trucks out of the water, except for the TRX. Still not quicker than the TRX, but you know what? You guys can see how it stacks up right here on the leaderboard. Okay, folks, we're done with the concrete now. We dropped that trailer, but we have another job to do. I have a Can-Am Defender that we just shot for TK Power Sports and a Honda ATV, which we're going to shoot for TK Power Sports, and I need to move them around. So they're now on the flat deck trailer, and we got a pretty good distance to go, over 100 kilometers with these machines. So this is a great sort of range test to see how much this trailer eats up of our range. So the first thing we're going to do is go into the trip info, and I did reset this, but I'll reset it one more time. So there, reset trip 2 is done. So now we got the fresh trip, and we also have an average here since the truck began running. It's doing 3.3 kilometers per kilowatt. So we can sort of compare that average with our average when we are all said and done. And we're taking off here now. So the reason we towed the concrete is because we wanted to get a feel for the truck with some real weight on it. These two machines plus the trailer back there, maybe 4,000 pounds, but likely under that, probably closer to 3,500-ish. So yeah, it's not a huge real weight for the truck. So we wanted to get a good sense for it. What this is going to give us a sense for is, yeah, just how much efficiency do we lose when you hook up a trailer like this. So we're going to do a decent drive right now, and then at the end of it all, we'll be able to report on that. So there's a few other things where, you know, Dad and I noticed them about the truck that are quite different, and I do want to bring them up now. The first one is that when you get into this truck, there's no on-off button. There is no key you got to twist. There's no push button. You simply get in, put your foot on the brake, put it in drive and go, and then when you get where you're going, you stick it in park and you get out, and the truck turns on and off automatically. Now, it's funny, it feels so different. I'm not used to it yet, so I've been trying to sort of evaluate, is it a good thing or not? I think on the positive side, it is really quick. It's just one less step. Hop in, throw it in drive, and away you go. So I do kind of appreciate that. And then I think on the negative side, it has to be said that it's just another change that people are going to have to get used to, and generally people are resistant to change. So it's one of those things where I look at it and go, what did you really gain here, Chevrolet? Whereas you could have just kept it the same, you know, kept it the way people are used to it, and then you wouldn't have any complaints. So yeah, I think jury's still out on that feature. You can let me know in the comments what you think about the fact that there is no actual start-stop button here. Now the other thing, which is a bit different, but granted this was introduced on the Chevy Colorado, is that a lot of the important systems have been brought over to the touchscreen. So the one that's most noticeable, the light control, that's the same as on the midsize Colorado. If you want to turn your lights on or off, if you want to go from auto to off or just leave them on, you have to go into the touchscreen. There is no dial, no switch, no button for the lights. And then the other thing that's up in the touchscreen is the one pedal drive. So if you want to switch on the one pedal or you want to control how aggressive the one pedal is, that's all in the screen as well. Now you can see these little icons up there. They're there all the time. So those buttons are, you know, always ready to be activated. So I do appreciate that. On the flip side, it's just something a little funny about going into the touchscreen constantly to adjust things like your one pedal drive and your lights. So just another, different way of going about it, and you definitely have to get used to it here in the Silverado EV. Now the last point I want to make right now is just about this interior. So I will say outright, I like this interior for a work truck. Once you say the words work truck to me, I don't get in expecting very much. And as a work truck goes, this is exactly what I expect. It's black plastic everywhere, not too much detail or sort of thought went into the details here, and that's fine. It's a work truck. I don't expect it to be, you know, covered in stitching and all kinds of different materials. And then also on the positive side, there's a massive storage bin down here on my right-hand side, plus a console with a lid and cup holders. So in terms of the actual storage, it's quite good. There's a glove box. There's also an upper little shelf over there in front of the passenger where they can store their stuff. And once again, you say the words work truck and my brain right away goes maximum utility. And that's what this feels like. It feels like there's lots of space to put your stuff. In terms of passenger space, it's huge in here. I'm super comfortable. Plus the back seat is absolutely massive. So I'm really a fan of this interior. I don't want you to get me wrong on this point. The issue is I am a fan of this interior at around the $50,000 price point, and that's where this truck kind of falls on its face inside, because this work truck as it sits, the WT4 here in Canada, is over $80,000. That's the problem. A work truck at over 80 grand, it doesn't compute in my brain. I'm fine with the basic interior. I'm fine with the rubber floors. In fact, I like them for a lot of applications, but not at that price point, and I just can't imagine any business rushing out to buy a fleet of $80,000 work trucks when there's plenty of $40,000 and $50,000 work trucks out there, and you're going to get essentially the same interior and the same features. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I can't say good things about this interior at the prices that Chevy is asking. I haven't mentioned this yet either, the midgate. Yes, the Silverado EV is able to drop that back wall and extend its bed for storing longer items. But there's a big problem with it. The midgate is not available on the work truck. This decision makes no sense to me as a work-focused customer. I think this is a great feature, so please GM, bring the midgate down to the lower trims. I'm guessing it's going to happen in upcoming years, but as of right now with the 2024, you can't get the midgate on this work truck that we tested. Well, now we have arrived back at my place, folks, and on the way, we did drop off that Can-Am Defender off of the trailer, so it only made about half of the trip, and we did just shy of 100 kilometers, and you can see the efficiency right up here. We did 1.9 kilometers per kilowatt, and you can see just above it, that 3.1, that's the number you can expect most of the time out of this truck. So yeah, the range didn't get cut in half, but it did take a significant hit, and now we can go ahead and do a little bit of math and talk about what the overall range would be if we were running at 1.9. Let's crunch the numbers now. First, I have to tell you, General Motors hasn't confirmed the battery pack size in the Silverado EV, although based on estimations, it should be around 205 kilowatt hours. So if you take that and look at our 3.1 kilometers per kilowatt hour, that leaves you with an overall driving range of 635 kilometers. And then looking at our towing number, that was 1.9 kilometers per kilowatt hour. You're looking at an overall range of 389 kilometers. And for the US, folks, that means the unladen range here is around 395 miles, while once our trailers were hooked up, it dropped down to 241 miles. So yes, folks, the story stays the same with the Silverado EV as other EVs. When you're towing a trailer, the range gets nearly cut in half. And of course, it does depend on what kind of your trailer you're pulling, but that is just a fact of all these vehicles. When you put a trailer on, you're going to get quite a bit less range. So now it's the end of the day. We've dropped those trailers. I'm back here at a charger because I got to fill this thing back up. So first of all, we're at an Electrify Canada fast charger, and this thing can deliver up to 350 kilowatt hours. Well, when I got here this morning and charged, it was only delivering about 70 kilowatts at peak. And there's two reasons for that, as far as I know. First of all, it was only 4 degrees Celsius this morning. And yes, the colder it gets, not just your vehicle, but the chargers are also limited. And then the second reason is I didn't precondition the battery. Yes, there is a setting here in this truck and in most EVs where you tell it, hey, I want a fast charge soon, so then it will heat up that battery to the perfect temperature to accept that charge as quickly as possible. So now it's the afternoon, it's 10 degrees Celsius outside, and I did precondition the battery, and right now we're charging at over 200 kilowatts, which is delivering quite a bit of power. And currently the number I'm seeing on the screen is we have 535 kilometers per hour charging at this rate. So that means that, yeah, it's not even going to take you quite 2 hours to get a full charge. Now, you do always have to remember with EVs that charging from 0 to 10% and 90 to 100% will always be slower than in the middle. And right now we are sort of right in the middle in the heart of that battery. But yes, it's a really a positive point with this Ultium platform, the fact that it can accept charging at such a high rate of speed. And it's hard to complain about that much range being recouped in such a short period of time. So I do like that. However, I will switch back to sort of the pain points now. The fact of the matter is, yeah, I'm back here at the charger. I left here this morning. I'm back here now because charging at home just takes so long. Now, I only have level 1 charging. If you get level 2 charging at home, that does speed it up, but it's still easily overnight to recoup a full charge. So right now, if I had to turn around and go drive another, couple 100 kilometers, I'm gonna have to stop at the charger. And this is one of those things where living with an EV changes your lifestyle. You have to get used to it. They will not be the same as your gasoline vehicle. So I like the range. I like how fast it charges, but the fact is that with any electric vehicle, it's still going to change up how you think about driving and, how you think about going long distances. Well folks, yes, we've come to the end of this video. Now I got about 15 minutes more until I'm back at 80%, so I know what I'm doing for the next little while, sitting here at the charger. And yes, EVs, if you go this route, there's so many advantages in terms of the power delivery, the cost to charge, especially at home, but you still got to live with the fact that you are going to be sitting here waiting to charge a lot longer than it would take to refuel your vehicle. Now specifically with this Silverado EV, I think Chevy did an awesome job. I like the packaging, the interior, the bed, the features, everything is here. I just wish it was at a more affordable price point. If this exact truck that we drove today cost around $60,000, I would truly be singing its praises, but at 83 grand for a work truck, yeah, I just have a hard time swallowing that. So yeah, that's how I have to leave this one. But now, of course, I want to hear from you. Why don't you drop in the comments? Let me know what you think. Do you think this truck is worth it? The towing experience was pretty dang good, but yeah, I still can't justify it. And anyways, drop down there, leave me that comment. As always, while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit join to become a member, and then come right back here to Truck King to see what we're testing next. See ya.